We spend our lives looking up, obsessed with how the stars were born and how the cosmos will eventually die. Will it be the Big Crunch, where gravity collapses existence back into a singularity? Or the Big Rip, where the fabric of space-time is shredded into nothingness? These are the questions that keep astronomers awake at night. But while we worry about the death of the universe billions of years in the future, there is a far more immediate mystery unfolding right here, inside the architecture of our own existence. We are biological machines, refined by millions of years of evolution. Yet we still do not understand the basic blueprints of our own bodies. We look for aliens in the sky, but the strangest things are often hidden beneath our own skin. Consider the fragility of the human mind. We define ourselves by our memories, our past, our relationships, our learned skills. But there is a thief that steals these things, one by one, and we still don't know how to stop it. This is the enigma of Alzheimer's disease. Roughly 500,000 new cases are diagnosed every year. It is the fifth leading cause of death for those over 65, and it is the only cause of death in the top 10 that cannot be prevented, cured, or even slowed. For decades, the leading scientific consensus was the amyloid hypothesis. Researchers believed that Alzheimer's was caused by a sticky buildup of proteins called beta amyloids, which formed plaques in the brain, strangling neurons and disrupting cognition. It seemed like a clear target. If we could clear the plaque, we could cure the disease. But in recent years, this theory has faced a crisis. Billions of dollars have been poured into drugs that successfully remove amyloid plaques, yet the patients do not get better. The cognitive decline continues. This suggests that the plaques might not be the cause of the fire, but merely the ashes left behind. So, what is the true cause? Is it a failure of the brain's immune system? Is it, as some new theories suggest, a form of type 3 diabetes, where the brain becomes insulin resistant? Or is it a bacterial infection that crosses the blood-brain barrier decades before symptoms appear? We are facing a terrifying reality. The human brain is the most complex object in the known universe, and it is breaking down in ways we cannot comprehend. Until we solve this biological mystery, millions of people are destined to lose their universe long before the stars go out. But while the brain is a mystery of decline, other parts of our anatomy are mysteries of origin. Evolution is usually presented as a straight line of progress, but there are organs we carry that seem to defy explanation. Take, for instance, the appendix. For generations, doctors and biology teachers dismissed the appendix as an evolutionary mistake. A useless vestige left over from our plant-eating ancestors, a ticking time bomb prone to infection. It was considered junk anatomy. Standard procedure was to remove it at the slightest sign of trouble. But nature rarely keeps useless things for millions of years. Modern research at the University of Arizona has proposed a fascinating new theory. The appendix is not a mistake. It is a safe house. Our gut is a battlefield of bacteria. Most are good, helping us digest food, but sometimes a bad infection, like cholera or dysentery, sweeps through, flushing the entire system out. The theory suggests that the appendix acts as a biological bunker. It is a narrow, protected cul-de-sac where beneficial bacteria can hide during the purge. Once the infection passes, these survivors emerge from the appendix to recolonize the gut and restore our health. It isn't a useless remnant, it is a reboot switch for our internal ecosystem. However, not all evolutionary developments are about protection. Some are about efficiency, and they mark the most significant turning point in the history of life. It sounds crude to discuss, but biologically speaking, the development of the anus is an evolutionary marvel that scientists still cannot fully trace. Before this development, early life forms were essentially tubes with one opening. Creatures like the sea anemone or the flatworm have a blind gut. They must eat and excrete through the same orifice. This is terribly inefficient. An animal with a blind gut cannot eat again until it has finished processing its previous meal. It limits growth, it limits energy, and it limits size. The evolution of the through gut, a system with an entrance and an exit, changed the game. It allowed for continuous consumption and digestion. It allowed animals to grow bigger, move faster, and develop complex brains fueled by constant energy. But here is the mystery. We don't know which creature did it first. The fossil record is murky. Soft tissues don't fossilize well, and this transition happened over 500 million years ago. Molecular biologists are currently hunting for the bilaterian, the profound ancestor that first developed a distinct front and back end. It is a search for the moment life stopped merely existing and started truly thriving. It is a reminder that the most basic functions we take for granted were once revolutionary survival strategies. But survival isn't just about how we process energy. It's about how we survive the things that want to kill us. And sometimes, the killers are ancient, elusive, and hiding in plain sight. This is the mystery of Ebola's origins. We know what Ebola does. It is a viral hemorrhagic fever with a terrifying fatality rate. We know how it spreads, through direct contact with bodily fluids. But the great mystery of Ebola is not what it does to humans, but where it goes when it isn't killing us. Viruses cannot survive long without a host. Between outbreaks, which can be years apart, the Ebola virus must be hiding somewhere in the jungle. It needs a reservoir species, an animal that can carry the virus without dying from it, acting as a silent biological storage tank. For years, scientists have trekked through the rainforests of Central Africa, testing thousands of animals. Snakes, birds, antelope, spiders. In 2005, a breakthrough pointed toward bats. Specifically, 3 types of fruit bats were found to carry antibodies for Ebola. But finding antibodies isn't the same as finding the live virus. We have yet to definitively isolate the active virus in a bat in the wild. This means we are living next door to a sleeping dragon. We know the virus is out there, lurking in the blood of a creature we haven't fully identified, waiting for a hunter to butcher the wrong animal or a child to play in the wrong cave. Until we find the reservoir, we cannot predict the next spillover. We are just waiting for the jungle to attack again. The mysteries of the body are not always lethal. Some are social, psychological, and deeply confusing. Humans are the only species on Earth that blush. Charles Darwin himself called blushing the most peculiar and the most human of all expressions. It makes no evolutionary sense. If you are trying to deceive someone, or if you have violated a social norm, why would your body evolve a mechanism that instantly signals your guilt to everyone in the room? It is a biological spotlight that reveals exactly what you are trying to hide. Physiologically, it is part of the fight or flight response. Adrenaline dilates the blood vessels in the face. But psychologically, its purpose is debated. The leading theory is that blushing is a non-verbal apology. It is a signal of submission and regret. By turning red, you are telling the tribe, "I know I messed up, and I care what you think." Studies show that people who blush after a mistake are judged more leniently and trusted more quickly than those who remain stoic. It is an involuntary mechanism of honesty. Your conscious mind may want to lie, but your biology is wired for truth. It is a fail-safe mechanism, ensuring that social cohesion survives even when our personal integrity fails. And that brings us to the final and perhaps most pervasive mystery of human nature: lying. We are taught that honesty is a virtue, yet deception is woven into the very fabric of our psychology. Studies suggest that children begin to lie as early as age 4. Developmentally, this is actually a good sign. It demonstrates theory of mind, the cognitive realization that other people have different knowledge than you do. To lie is to understand the separation between your mind and the world. But why do we do it so much? Psychologist Robert Feldman argues that we don't just lie to impress others. We lie to maintain a consistent view of ourselves. We tell white lies to smooth social lubrication, to avoid conflict, and to protect the feelings of others. That turtleneck looks great on you is a lie, but it is also an act of kindness. The mystery lies in the extent of our deception. We lie to our bosses, our spouses, and most frequently, to ourselves. We edit our own memories to make ourselves the hero of the story. We rationalize our bad behavior. we are unreliable narrators of our own lives. If our biology, like blushing, is wired for truth, why is our psychology wired for fabrication? Perhaps it is because reality is too harsh to face without a filter. We lie to survive the complexity of human society. We are the only species that can create fiction, and sometimes that fiction is the only thing holding us together. From the collapsing neurons of a fading mind to the silent reservoirs of deadly viruses, the human body is a landscape of unanswered questions. We are a collection of biological accidents and evolutionary gambles, walking through a world we barely understand. Inside bodies, we understand even less. We are strangers to ourselves. We inhabit these bodies, we rely on these minds, yet when we peel back the layers of human biology, we find that the blueprints are full of redacted lines. We are a collection of evolutionary compromises and biological riddles. And the deepest riddle of all is found in the very machinery of our thoughts. It is a phenomenon known as mortality salience. Humans are, as far as we know, the only species on Earth capable of visualizing a future where we do not exist. We don't just fear death when a predator is chasing us. We fear it while sitting comfortably in our homes. We simulate it. We lie awake at night, running scenarios of our own funerals, wondering who will show up, wondering what remains when the electricity of the brain flickers out. Psychologists call this the terror management theory. The idea is that civilization itself, our art, our laws, our legacies, is built as a defense mechanism against this paralyzing realization. But Pelin Kesebir, a scientist at the Center for Healthy Minds, suggests something different. This isn't just anxiety, it is a biological imperative. By simulating our end, we gain clarity on our present. The brain is a prediction engine. It is constantly trying to solve the problem of survival, even if the ultimate problem, death, is unsolvable. We are wired to stare into the abyss, perhaps because on some evolutionary level we hope the abyss blinks first. But while the mind worries about the future, the body carries strange souvenirs from the past. Consider the mystery of the naked ape. Humans are anomalous among primates because we have lost the majority of our fur. Yet we retained dense patches of hair in specific, localized regions, specifically pubic hair. From a biological standpoint, this makes little sense. If shedding fur was necessary for cooling down on the African savanna, why keep this hair? Evolution rarely wastes energy on useless features. And one theory is that it acts as a friction buffer, protecting sensitive skin during the movement of our bipedal stride. Another, more chemical theory, suggests it serves as a trap for pheromones, unconscious scent signals that influence mate selection. But there is no consensus. We are the only creature on Earth with this specific pattern of hair growth. It is a biological signature that links us to an ancient past we can no longer remember, a vestige of a time when we were more animal than human. The mysteries continue into our very veins. If you are injured and need a transfusion, receiving the wrong blood is fatal. But why do we have different blood types at all? Why are there A, B, AB, and O? Discovered by Karl Landsteiner in 1900, the ABO blood group system is defined by antigens, sugars and proteins that sit on the surface of red blood cells like a biological ID card. If your immune system detects an ID card it doesn't recognize, like type A blood in a type B body, it attacks, causing the blood to clot massively. But why did nature create this incompatibility? The leading theory is an evolutionary arms race against disease. Different blood types may offer protection against different pathogens. For example, type O blood appears to offer some resistance against severe malaria, while other types might protect against cholera. Our blood diversity is likely a survival strategy, a way to ensure that a single plague couldn't wipe out the entire human species. We are a genetic patchwork, designed so that at least some of us will survive the next pandemic. But we are not the only creatures hiding secrets in our anatomy. Beneath the waves, the ocean hides giants that defy explanation. The basking shark is the second largest fish in the ocean, a gentle leviathan that grows up to 40 feet long. It survives by filtering 2,000 tons of water per hour through its massive, gaping mouth. But the mystery of the basking shark isn't its size, it is its reproduction. For centuries, Marine biologists have been baffled by their breeding habits. We rarely see them mate. We rarely see them give birth. But autopsies of females have revealed a bizarre asymmetry. They appear to have only one functioning ovary, always on the right side. Why would a creature this massive evolve such a singular limitation? Is it a bottleneck in their evolution? Or is it an efficiency adaptation we don't yet understand? Even in 2025, with all our satellite tracking and deep-sea submersibles, the life cycle of one of the planet's largest animals remains a shadow. They drift through the deep, eating dust and keeping their secrets. We look at the ocean and see a void, but the true void is above us. And it is not empty, it is armed. Every second of every day, Earth is being strafed by cosmic rays. These are not sci-fi inventions. They are high-energy protons and atomic nuclei moving at nearly the speed of light. They originate from the most violent events in the universe, supernovae explosions and the accretion disks of black holes. When these particles hit our atmosphere, they don't just stop. They shatter, creating a shower of secondary particles, pions, muons, and electrons that rain down on us constantly. You cannot feel them, but your technology can. A cosmic ray striking a computer chip can flip a single bit of data from a 0 to a 1. This is called a single event upset. It has caused planes to drop out of autopilot. It has caused voting machines to malfunction. In 2003, a cosmic ray is suspected to have caused a glitch in a Belgian election that gave a candidate 4,096 extra votes. We are building a digital civilization on a planet that is constantly being bombarded by invisible bullets from deep space. And where do these bullets come from? They come from a darkness we are only just beginning to map. This brings us to the size of the universe. We often talk about the universe as if we can see it all. We cannot. We live in a bubble called the observable universe. Because the speed of light is finite, and the universe has only existed for 13.8 billion years, we can only see objects whose light has had time to reach us. That bubble is roughly 93 billion light-years across. But what lies beyond the edge of that bubble? Astronomers believe the universe extends far beyond what we can see. Current theories suggest the whole universe could be 250 times larger than the observable part. Or perhaps it is infinite. If it is infinite, the implications are staggering. It means that somewhere, mathematically, the arrangement of atoms that makes up you is repeated. But for now, we are trapped in our bubble of light, staring at a horizon we can never cross. But the bubble isn't just sitting there. It is growing. And this leads to the discovery that changed everything. The expansion. In the 1920s, astronomer Edwin Hubble made a terrifying discovery. He realized that the universe was not static. It was not a fixed stage. It was exploding. Hubble observed that distant galaxies were redshifted. Their light was being stretched as they moved away from us. And the further away they were, the faster they were moving. This proved that space itself was expanding, carrying the galaxies with it like raisins in a rising loaf of bread. But here is the twist that keeps modern scientists awake. Gravity should be slowing this expansion down. The mutual pull of all the mass in the universe should be acting as a brake. But it isn't. The expansion is speeding up. There is a mysterious force pushing on the gas pedal of the cosmos. We call it dark energy. It is a placeholder name for we don't know. It is an unknown form of energy that permeates all of space and tends to accelerate the expansion of the universe. It accounts for 73% of the total mass energy of the cosmos. Think about that. We understand the protons, the electrons, the planets, and the stars. But that is only the crumbs. The cake, the vast majority of reality, is composed of a force we cannot see, pushing us away from our neighbors into a cold, lonely dark. We are drifting apart, and nothing in the known laws of physics can stop it. In any investigation, the most disturbing evidence is not what you find, but what is missing. A body found at a crime scene tells a story. A body that simply vanishes leaves only questions. And right now, the universe is full of missing persons. For centuries, astronomy was built on the concept of permanence. The stars were fixed. They were the firmament. We now know that stars have life cycles. They are born in nebulae. They burn for billions of years, and they die. Usually this death is a spectacle. Massive stars go out with a bang, detonating in supernovae that outshine entire galaxies. They leave behind bright, expanding remnants that act as cosmic tombstones. But recently, astronomers have noticed a discrepancy. The missing stars, the vanishing and appearing sources during a century of observations. VASCO project has been comparing star maps from the 1950s with modern sky surveys. They have found something unsettling. Hundreds of stars that existed 70 years ago are simply gone. No supernova, no nebula, just a blank void where a sun used to be. According to standard physics, a star cannot just turn off. So, where did they go? One theory suggests failed supernova. Stars so massive that when their core collapses, it creates a black hole that swallows the star from the inside out before it can explode. It is a star that eats itself in the dark. But there is a more controversial theory, one that strategists and SETI researchers discuss in hushed tones. Dyson spheres. If an advanced civilization wanted to harvest the maximum amount of energy, they might build a megastructure around their star, enclosing it completely. To us, it would look like the star simply vanished, its light blocked by a shell of alien engineering. We are looking for natural causes, but we cannot rule out the possibility that the lights aren't going out. They are being covered up. But we don't need to look light years away to find invisible barriers. There is a cage around our own solar system, and we call it the Oort cloud. The Milky Way is massive, but our local neighborhood has a theoretical wall. The Oort cloud is not just a few rocks. It is a spherical shell of icy debris that surrounds our sun at a distance of up to 100,000 astronomical units, nearly halfway to the next star. We have never seen it directly. It is too dark, too distant, and too diffuse. We only know it exists because of the smoking gun, long-period comets. These visitors, which take thousands of years to orbit the sun, come from all directions, implying they originate from a sphere, not a flat disk. If the Oort cloud exists, it is massive. It may contain trillions of objects. It implies that our solar system is not an open plain, but a walled garden. We are effectively engulfed in a shell of ice, unaware of its presence until it throws a comet at us. It raises the question, if we struggle to detect a massive structure in our own backyard, what else are we missing in the deep dark? Closer to home, the evidence of violence is even clearer. The moon is our constant companion, a symbol of romance and peace. But its origin story is a ballistics report from a planetary murder. For a long time, we didn't know where the moon came from. Did Earth capture it? Did they form side by side? The answer lies in the chemistry. When Apollo astronauts brought back moon rocks, analysis showed they were almost identical to Earth's mantle. This led to the giant impact hypothesis. 4.5 billion years ago, a Mars-sized planet named Theia slammed into the proto-Earth. It wasn't a glancing blow, it was a cataclysm. The impact liquefied the Earth's surface and vaporized Theia. The debris from this collision was thrown into orbit, where it eventually coalesced to form the moon. We look at the moon and see a satellite. A strategist looks at the moon and sees shrapnel. It is the scar tissue of a collision that nearly destroyed our world, before life even had a chance to begin. It is a reminder that we live in a shooting gallery. But if we want to escape the shooting gallery, we run into the ultimate limit, the speed of light. In our universe, 299,792,458 meters per second is not just a speed, it is the law. Nothing with mass can reach it. It is the cosmic speed limit, the maximum velocity of causality itself. At this speed, you could circle the Earth 7 times in a single second. For humans, this limit is a prison. Even at light speed, it would take us 4 years to reach the nearest star and 100,000 years to cross the galaxy. But the implications are deeper than travel. According to Einstein's relativity, as you approach the speed of light, time slows down. If you could travel at light speed, time would stop. This begs the question, can we break the law? Scientists look for loopholes, wormholes, warp drives, quantum entanglement. Entanglement allows particles to communicate instantly across vast distances, defying the speed limit. But so far, we cannot use it to transport matter or information. We are trapped in a bubble of causality, able to see the stars, but perhaps physically forbidden from ever touching them. But even our measurements of the universe are cracking. This is the crisis of the Hubble tension. We know the universe is expanding. We have known this since Edwin Hubble observed galaxies rushing away from us. But recently, a massive problem has emerged. When we measure the expansion rate using the local universe, supernovae and pulsating stars, we get one number. When we measure it using the early universe, the cosmic microwave background radiation, we get a different number. The two most precise rulers in astrophysics do not match. The difference is statistically significant. It means something is wrong. Either our measurements are flawed, or more likely, our understanding of physics is incomplete. There is a variable missing from the equation, perhaps a new type of particle or a property of dark energy we haven't predicted. The universe is growing, but the blueprint we are using to measure it is broken. This leads to a fundamental question of geometry. What is the shape of the universe? It sounds like a nonsensical question. How can space have a shape? But mathematically, it must. There are three possibilities. It is spherical, closed, saddle-shaped, open, or flat. Current data from the Planck satellite suggests, to a high degree of accuracy, that the universe is flat. This doesn't mean it is a 2D pancake. It means that two parallel light beams launched into the void will stay parallel forever, never meeting and never diverging. If the universe is flat, it has terrifying implications. A flat universe is likely infinite, and this leads us directly to the concept of parallel universes. If the universe is truly infinite, and there is a finite number of ways that matter can be arranged, which, according to quantum mechanics, there is, then eventually the arrangements must repeat. It is the infinite monkey theorem applied to atoms. Far beyond our cosmic horizon, statistically speaking, there is another volume of space that looks exactly like this one. There is another Milky Way. There is another Earth. And there is another you reading this script right now. In an infinite flat universe, you are not unique. You are an inevitability. The recurrence of patterns isn't science fiction. It is a statistical mandate of an infinite system. But where did the system come from? We trace everything back to the Big Bang. But the human mind craves the prequel. What happened before the Big Bang? This is the hardest question in cosmology. Standard theory says that the Big Bang was not just the explosion of matter, but the explosion of time itself. Asking what happened before the Big Bang is like asking what is north of the North Pole. The concept of before does not exist. However, great minds like Stephen Hawking proposed the no-boundary proposal. He suggested that in the earliest moments, time behaved like space. It was curved. There was no sharp starting point, just a smooth, rounded bottom, like a shuttlecock. But other theories are darker. The cyclic model suggests that our Big Bang was just one in an infinite series of expansions and contractions, a cosmic heartbeat that has been beating forever. Or the multiverse theory, which suggests our universe is just a bubble that pinched off from a larger eternal foam of reality. We are left with a picture of a universe that is vast, violent, and deeply mysterious. Stars that vanish, clouds that cage us, laws that trap us, and an origin story that erases its own tracks. We are detectives arriving at the scene billions of years late, trying to reconstruct the crime from the scattered debris. We have spent this series examining the unknown, from the microscopic enigmas of our own biology to the invisible forces tearing the cosmos apart. We have looked at data, codes, and theories. But in the end, the most compelling evidence does not come from a computer simulation or a medical textbook. It comes from the eyes of the men and women we sent to the edge of the void. Astronauts and cosmonauts are not prone to flights of fancy. They are trained observers, selected for their psychological stability and their ability to remain calm in the face of the impossible. So, when they tell us they saw something they cannot explain, we have a duty to listen. This brings us to the haunting case of the Atlantis debris. In 2006, during the STS-115 mission aboard the space shuttle Atlantis, the crew reported seeing something outside the craft that wasn't on the manifest. It happened right after the astronauts had opened the payload bay doors. They spotted a series of objects floating in formation between the shuttle and the Earth. NASA Mission Control was quick to categorize it. The official explanation was mundane: space junk. They suggested it was likely ice crystals dislodged from the shuttle's wastewater dumps, or perhaps a piece of shim stock or thermal blanket that had drifted loose during the payload deployment. The flight director noted that seeing debris early in a mission is common. Launch shakes things loose. But here is the catch. These objects were seen late in the mission, and they didn't look like ice. Video footage captured by the crew revealed objects that appeared to be semi-transparent circles, donut-like. White rings that seemed to pulsate with a rhythmic light. They didn't tumble randomly like jagged trash, they drifted with a strange stability. The footage bore an uncanny resemblance to one of the most famous and controversial events in NASA history, the STS-75 tether incident of 1996. During that mission, the crew deployed a satellite on a tether that was 12 miles long, an experiment in generating electricity using Earth's magnetic field. But the tether snapped. As the 12-mile cable drifted away, charged with high-voltage electricity, the cameras captured a swarm of UFOs gathering around it. These weren't dust motes close to the lens. Telemetry data suggested they were massive, miles-wide, circular objects passing behind the tether, illuminated by the plasma discharge. Observers have drawn parallels between these pulsating donuts and the legend of the Dropa stones. According to fringe archaeology, the Dropa stones are a series of 12,000-year-old granite discs found in caves in the Bayan Karaula Mountains on the border of China and Tibet. The stones, which look like ancient vinyl records, are said to contain microscopic hieroglyphs detailing the crash of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. While mainstream archaeology dismisses the Dropa stones as a hoax or misidentified jade buy discs, the visual similarity between these ancient descriptions of stone donuts and the objects filmed by NASA astronauts creates a compelling, if unproven, symmetry. Are we seeing modern technology, ancient visitors, or simply the human brain trying to find patterns in the chaos of space junk? But if the Atlantis and Tether incidents can be debated as debris, our final case offers no such easy escape. It comes from a man with the highest credentials, Major General Vladimir Kovalyonok, a two-time hero of the Soviet Union. In 1981, Kovalyonok was commanding the Salyut 6 space station. He was a veteran of spaceflight, a man of science and discipline. On May 5th, while orbiting over South Africa, he looked out of the porthole and saw something that defied physics. He described an oval-shaped object moving parallel to the station. It wasn't drifting, it was flying. Kovalyonok called his partner, Viktor Savinik, to the window. As they watched, the object did something extraordinary. It didn't just accelerate, it detonated. Kovalyonok reported a sudden, silent explosion of golden light. But instead of shattering into debris, the oval object transformed. The single craft split into two perfect golden spheres. Kovalyonok grabbed his camera, desperate to capture proof. But as he adjusted the lens, a cloud of white smoke appeared around the spheres. When the smoke cleared seconds later, the objects were gone. They hadn't flown away, they had simply ceased to be there. This wasn't a hallucination. It was witnessed by two cosmonauts simultaneously. It was reported to Mission Control immediately. The event made headlines in Soviet newspapers, a rare admission of an unexplained phenomenon from a government that usually suppressed such reports. Kovalyonok stands by his story to this day. He saw an object that could change its shape, survive an explosion, and vanish at will. It is a fitting end to our journey. We started this series looking at the codes hidden in our internet, the mysteries buried in our DNA, and the invisible matter that holds our galaxy together. We have traveled from the bottom of the Mariana Trench to the edge of the observable universe. What we have found is not a set of answers, but a confirmation of the mystery. The signal we are looking for, Signal 49, is the realization that the universe is not quiet. It is speaking to us in gamma rays and gravitational waves, in the silence of the deep web and the static of a cosmonaut's radio. We are a young species, standing on the shore of a cosmic ocean, just beginning to learn the language of the tide. The files are open, the investigation continues, and as long as there are questions, we will be here to ask them. I'm the strategist. This is Signal 49. Keep watching the skies, but don't forget to watch the shadows.